Okay, no, wait, relax. I'm gonna read it now. Zoom 001.
So giddy with excitement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely giddy with
Sure,
excitement.
sure.
Okay. Okay. So we were talking about
No. You have to introduce it first.
introduce the topic.
Yeah, the podcast. This is your first episode ever.
Okay, I don't know how this is done clearly. So the name of this podcast is
Assalamu alaikum ji.
Walaikum Salam.
This is Assalamu alaikum ji. This is the PS I Hate You podcast. We welcome you to it. We hope to hate and to educate. And yeah. Now
Okay.
the topic.
So the point of this podcast is for us to distribute some of the hate that we have received, and also kind of encourage people to look at certain things in ways that they should be looking at them, you know.
Sure.
So with that, all of that being said, so
Yes.
the other day, i.e. this morning,
Yes.
we were talking about something related to body image.
Yes.
And actually हुआ थोड़ा बहुत ये था कि once upon a time, right? So the thing is, I've always been fascinated by how the concept of what is acceptable as far as the physicality of human beings is concerned, how that has changed over the past couple of months.
Sure.
Really? The months. ठीक है? Because
I was
what
gonna say
happened
decades.
was, and in particular it is in Pakistan, because internationally, particularly as far as Hollywood is concerned, it's changed, but not really all that much. I mean, it's sort of stagnated. Like now the form is like Captain America.
For the men.
For the men, you do that cardio.
Yeah. It's not cardio, but
You
sure, go ahead.
quit leg day, and then
You quit leg day?
You quit leg day. You look like they're effeminate, charming.
ये किधर मिल रहे हैं? ये
I
कौन है
mean,
ये?
I'm just saying, ठीक है, other than M'Baku, none of them were.
Captain America himself is huge, Bapu.
He's huge, but he's also like, it's more it's leaner.
Yeah, it's
then
lean.
let's say
it has to be
then
lean.
let's say
Yeah.
what was like Arnold Schwarzenegger Hercules.
He was
style.
bulked up, but he was still lean. Dekho,
He
lean.
was
Listen to me.
yeah
Leanness. No. Look at that.
Yeah.
Leanness
yeah
has to do
Yeah.
with the body fat percentage.
sure.
So Arnold was
Mhm.
actually leaner than anyone else.
Okay, then let me not use fitness terms. Then
Uh-huh.
I will say it in terms of aesthetics.
Sure.
Arnold Schwarzenegger must have been absolutely, in terms of body fat ratio and all of that,
Yeah.
on point.
Yeah, he was lean.
on
Yeah.
multiple points,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sure. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that he was also the image that was conjured up.
He had
Is
muscles.
the
He had
idea
big
of like
muscles,
this
yeah.
someone who towers over
Yes,
you, right?
sure. Yeah.
And I feel like of late that has kind of changed.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly because perhaps the audience itself has shifted, and what like they deem to be acceptable and appealing has
अब
changed.
क्या फुंदड़ू पसंद है मुझे समझ नहीं आ
नहीं,
रहा मुझे
नहीं, it
you
is like-
still like big muscles don't you?
Sure, but
yeah.
I feel like particularly in Pakistan,
Mhm.
there's like this I don't even know. What do you think? Do you think that like we're going towards more larger than life personas
Yes.
accompanied by larger than life body frames?
No, so ऐसा है कि I think what we're going towards is camera techniques are better than ever, special effects are better than
Yeah.
ever, and we do always look for larger than life personas in movies and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. But
Yeah.
suppose that comes from the dearth of hope
Yeah.
in our everyday life, तो हम चाहते हैं कि कोई larger
I
than
see.
life
So
चीज हो.
it's
मेरा ख्याल है ये.
it's much more to do with the narrative than just like
Of
the
course.
physicality.
नहीं
is
आपको
much-
तो ये पता ही नहीं था,
नहीं,
आपने तो पढ़ाई की नहीं है.
it's not like we planned this.
No.
No. Yeah, we didn't talk about this at all. This is completely spontaneous conversation.
गुफ्तगू हो रही है, ये तो
ये
भाई
तो
क्या
कुछ
हो
भी
रहा
नहीं
है?
हो रहा है.
अच्छा लेकिन
हाँ.
इशू ये है कि while I do believe all of that is taking place,
Yeah.
those people, because क्या है कि आर्नल्ड के ज़माने में
Mhm.
whatever the technology was lacking, he had
Yeah.
to make up for with his
with his
frame,
Arnold Schwarzenegger
with all of that,
with all of that.
with all of that, right? तो अब क्या है कि because और उसके बाद चॉकलेट हीरो वाला सारा सीन था, वो ज़रा आपको मेरे से
Yeah.
बहुत बेहतर पता है.
The
you've
romantic hero.
studied
But that's what I
cinema.
feel like it's like the current male form. We'll get to the women
Yeah,
in a second. The current male form is kind of like a culmination of the romantic hero and the action hero. Like in all, that's how I see it. Is that, you know, like I don't know what that says about the kind of narratives. Maybe we're finally complex enough to understand that human beings are not either or. They can be both.
They're
They
both,
can
yeah.
be Arnold Schwarzenegger, ziplining across Mount Everest, and then also have a heart and wants a happily ever after.
Sure.
It's like, I mean, but that's what I feel is happening. I feel that the narrative is kind of
And
intermingling,
then, but then how do you highlight what is the manifestation of that, say, in Pakistani cinema?
Okay, so here's the thing.
All right,
ठीक
sure.
है, Pakistani cinema is having a bit of a moment.
Sure.
But I do feel that, and I know that as of right now, we don't really watch Bollywood movies.
Yeah.
But I think that something that really kind of irked me, okay,
Mhm.
is that once upon a time there was a movie called Bahubali.
There
right?
was,
There
yes.
was.
Yes.
It was released. We
Yes.
weren't ready. They weren't ready.
No one was
Nobody
ready.
was
Bahubali
ready.
was there.
He was there.
Yeah.
There he was.
He was
He
there.
arrived.
Yeah.
He went underneath the mountain.
Sure.
Right? Cracked open a shivling,
Which is?
which is like the monument that they worship, which is a literal rock. It's literal stone, so it is very heavy.
And he cracked it
He
open
cracked it. He cracked it off the ground.
As you
Put
do.
it on top of his shoulder.
Of course he did.
Made the face.
Of course.
Right.
You need the face.
Showed off everything.
Oh, yes.
ठीक है?
Yes.
And inspired a lot of people, because when I was here this time last year when I came to Pakistan,
Yeah.
everybody was,
Jacked.
that's the word,
Jacked.
they were jacked.
Uh-huh.
ठीक है
As
ना?
in, like, big.
Everybody going to the gym,
Sure.
everybody's muscled.
A bigger fitness
We're
culture. Yeah.
going,
yeah,
right? I walked into Dolmen.
Yeah. Yes.
The
As
gentleman who I walked into a store, the gentleman assisting me, I was just like, oh my god, what happened? Right?
Sure.
Like, who fed you what? And it's okay.
Everyone.
It's good. Everyone
everything.
think, right?
Yeah.
And now, come to a couple of months later,
Mm-hmm.
Rocky Chacha happened.
Rocky Bhai.
Rocky Chacha.
Bhai.
Chacha. He is my Chacha.
Okay. Tell
ठीक है?
everyone.
So KGF आपने देखी होगी, छोटी सी मूवी है.
हाँ.
ठीक है, उसका थोड़ा बहुत
Kolaha Goldfields.
that one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
ठीक है. Now here's my thing about Bahubali. I could say a lot about that film.
Yes.
That Angry Birds slingshot like scene and everything that happened. Bahubali was a bit of a trip, and it's okay because it was fantastical. And like you said, when when you're in your 20s and the world is going up in flames, you kind of grasp at
It's called
straws.
escapism. Yeah.
It's called escapism. It's okay, and cinema has always been. I mean, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with being all like, yeah, sure, there's global economies, we're on our way to a recession, and good God, what's happening with what's happening with all these conflicts around the world. But hey, look, Bahubali cracked open a shivling, and at least that happened, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay. But the one thing that I did appreciate about that movie is that it inspired everybody to work towards being a badass. ठीक है? Physically. Right? You have Dev Sena over there arrowing people into another century, and Bahubali has a shivling on his shoulder. And it's like everybody was so strong that everybody was like, okay, let me get my life in order. Let me, eat right.
Yeah, sure.
Go to the gym.
Yeah.
Maybe not skip leg day.
Please don't skip leg
That
day.
the last one was for myself.
Yes, of course.
Right? Never had a leg day in my life. Maybe I should start.
Maybe have a few.
Right? Maybe think about the fact that you shouldn't eat everything that your mother buys.
And everything else.
And everything else that everybody else in the house is buying.
Especially not Domino's Choco Bread.
Never that.
Never that.
Which, by the way, who came up with this? What is wrong with you people?
I don't know.
Do you want to, are my arteries a joke to you?
Basically.
What are you doing? But anyway,
Yeah.
ठीक है? But that's what Bahubali did. He inspired all of us to kind of go to the gym, have a moment,
Yes.
have several,
Have a
then
few.
pick up a shivling
As you
and
do.
make a face,
Yes.
right?
The
And
face, yeah.
show off what we
What we made.
were
yeah.
not given but got,
Yeah.
right? Enter KGF and Rocky Chacha with his beer belly.
Love that.
Never having been to a gym, hasn't showered in 5 months.
What do you?
Right? But it's still बंदा जो है एक हाथ मार रहा है और 10 आदमी जो उड़ते हुए एक तरफ जा रहे हैं, 15 दूसरी तरफ जा रहे हैं. And this really bothers me because you see what Bahubali did fundamentally was that he inspired all of us to try and be better than we were.
Yes.
What Rocky Chacha did was that he somehow convinced people that they were already Superman.
Yes.
Now what's gonna happen,
Yes.
right, with a lot of my brothers out there who look like this naturally,
Yes.
ठीक है? Is that they're gonna think that this is somehow possible
Without the hard work.
without the hard work.
Mhm.
Which is my issue with because that's kind of I don't really have a problem with the narrative of one, hero who's gonna come and save everybody, because that's pretty. It's it's an archaic narrative, and I understand why the appeal of that is there.
It has religious connotations. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it has religious connotations across multiple cultures.
Yes.
Hence, I'm completely
And
sympathetic
multiple
towards it.
all the in fact all the क्या बोलते हैं उनको, the Abrahamic faiths,
Mhm.
all of them.
Absolutely. And hence, I understand the chosen one narrative. But
Yes.
what was happening of late was that people were kind of becoming much more complex with the chosen one narratives. I feel like even Superman is having an arc suddenly.
Sure.
Did he need an arc? I don't think so. Did he have an arc in the comic? No, he was basically perfect.
Did he need a mustache? I think he did. It's fine. Well, please.
So I just felt that we were getting a little bit more complicated. Like the Harry Potter franchise basically poked fun at the chosen one narrative throughout.
Sure, yeah.
Because he's the chosen one,
and yet he doesn't.
He's an idiot.
Yeah.
He's way below average, and that's like, and they're just like my favorite scene in the franchise is when like Hermione goes to him and she's like, they're just being nice to you because they think you're the chosen one. And Harry, because now suddenly he's liking it, he's like, but I am the chosen one, and she whacks him on the head with a book. So because that was the idea, na, ki you can't just rely on the kind of I was born this way ideal, which was good to see, I feel, because it ties perhaps a little bit more into our reality.
That's fine, but what? How did KGF?
The KGF movie.
Yeah. Which was fantastic.
It was very okay.
It made me feel all sorts of things.
It did.
Yeah.
You know what? I went into this. ऐसा मेरे साथ एक दफा पहले हुआ है when I watched पंजाब नहीं जाऊंगी. When I went into a movie being all like, I'm not gonna like this at all because I've seen bits and pieces of it. By the end, I am crying.
Yes.
I am on the floor. I'm clapping. I'm feeling it.
Punjab Nahi Jaungi also had a few of those moments for me. Yeah.
But overall, there was so many things about it that I didn't necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
But that's the power of cinema, is that you might not necessarily agree with the politics of it or the messaging.
Sure.
But in terms of a narrative, it is the spectacle of the story, and you just you're like,
you're in it.
I'm here for it, right? It's happening. But KGF, I feel like it took it back to that narrative of the chosen one, because why is Rocky Chacha able to do all of this? There is no rhyme, reason, logic.
Dude, he's a chosen one.
He's the chosen one, but why? Because just because.
What do you want?
Because Rocky Chacha says so.
So okay, but let's just explicate the problem. The problem then, your problem then is,
it's not even so much of a problem. It's just like it's
an observation.
It's an itch.
Okay, an itch.
Yes.
An observation.
Yes.
Of the itch.
Yes.
Bahubali and movies like Bahubali.
Yeah.
Or if you go back to
you have
original,
to do something about
or
it.
Arnold or whatever, right? They inspired people to work out, to work harder, to be bigger, better than themselves.
To try.
And then movies like KGF, you would feel,
are kind of like counterintuitive.
Yeah, counterintuitive, because you're like.
By the way, I'm not saying that this is going to do anything.
No.
This is all tongue in cheek, but I do feel it just as a narrative. It's very interesting, because even on that very superficial level of go to the gym, KGF is like, don't even do that.
Yeah.
If you're born this way.
You are born this way.
Yeah.
ठीक है. ख़वातीन का भी तो कुछ change हो रहा है नहीं?
ख़वातीन का पता है क्या? The other day, a friend of mine and I were having this conversation. Now, I like comic book movies. I like pop culture and what have you. She is a nerd. She's a nerd queen.
And would she take offense at you calling her that?
No.
Okay.
She'd be proud of me.
Achha,
like the fact she was just like, yes, I am. No. She is unabashed about it. She's very kind of into the whole thing. Grew up with it, loves it, knew so much about the canon, which I was just like, I am not worthy. But she and I were having this conversation, and I really felt it, that in spite of so there's a lot of conversations about there should be more female superheroes and what have you, films about them, right? And where is Marvel, where is DC, whatever.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
Sure.
But my concern is that when it is translated onto the Hollywood machine, the women, for some reason, do not look very strong to me, at least on screen. I think like we saw in Avengers, there were lots, and it's, and I don't want to talk about this because it comes off as me hating on a specific person because of the way that they look, and I really don't want it to be like that. But for example, Serena Williams, her catsuit was called the Superwoman catsuit or what have you.
Yeah, because she
But
looks strong.
but you do not have a woman who looks like Serena Williams in these movies about superpowered female characters.
But there's a few things. No, आपको एक तो
Yeah.
ये है because here's the thing.
Yes.
A high performing female body.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like Serena Williams,
Yeah,
right? If she's powerful, the power needs to come from somewhere. वही जो आप रॉकी चाचा वाली बात कर रहे थे कि अगर शोल्डर है नहीं तो उठा कैसे रहे हो ये?
If you look like a beanbag, sir, how are you?
Yo, you need to relax.
He
with
doesn't.
That.
He looks fabulous.
Yeah.
And the gentleman who plays him.
देखो अब मैं mind करने वाला था.
नहीं हाँ. मतलब मैं वो नहीं कह रही हूँ कि he looks like a beanbag, but I'm just saying that if you don't look, मतलब it just doesn't become, it's not convincing anymore.
But the issue
आगे से
is
बंदा बाहुबली और वो उठा के बंदे को फेंक भी दे तो आप बोलोगे हाँ चलो ठीक बनता है थोड़ा बहुत बनता है लेकिन
सुल्तान रही हो
वही ना सुल्तान राही with his गंदासा like slicing and dicing his way through Punjab. I'm like, he's 7 foot tall, he's a mountain, like I think he can do this
basically. Yeah,
basically a mountain.
Yeah.
So like फिर भी
नहीं वो तो ठीक है but even with the women ना I suppose they did not cast women of that sort because ज़ाहिर है उनको commodify भी तो करना है ना.
There is that
and there's that classic understanding of what a feminine woman is.
Yeah.
ये सारी चीजें तो है ना अपनी जगह पे.
Yeah. And if it's a perfect female, then she has to also be appealing.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. Na? Perfect female needs to tip to the side of looking good rather than being functional.
Absolutely.
Right? Like
I'm really scared for She-Hulk. Because if
they're gonna ruin it.
Yeah, because I'm like, no, she needs to be strong. Because in the comics, as far as I remember, even when she was a supermodel, she was very strong looking.
That's the thing about comics. Na? They just create these characters. They don't have to cast anyone.
Yeah.
जैसे आप मुझे ये बताओ ना, ये किस जवान के बच्चे ने ये बोला था कि सुपरमैन जो है वो बैटमैन से शॉर्ट होना चाहिए. कभी होता ही नहीं है ऐसा. Right? So Batman, by Batman I mean Ben Affleck, who's 6'4". Superman, Henry Cavill, love the guy, 5'11".
Yeah.
Good looking guy, great looking guy. I'm not saying he's not, and he worked really hard. He is huge. All of that's fine.
But shorter than Batman.
But some things you just can't cover from with the camera, na?
Yeah.
Like Batman was huge. Batman was like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I still haven't watched that movie.
I shouldn't. It's not worth the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you're bored. I don't know. You know, people are bored. It's fine. That's how I started watching KGF. Maybe you find something that I, whatever. Issue ये है मेरे ख्याल में कि it needs to make at least some sort of sense.
Yeah.
But having said that, ये polarity बड़ी exist करती है. Cinema में कि यार या तो she's strong या she's
but we can't sell Barbie dolls if she doesn't look like a Barbie doll, so
वो सारी issue भी है but वही ना कि मतलब you need to make her desirable but why don't you let people decide what's desirable?
See, this is my issue with contemporary narratives surrounding pop culture and art in general. I remember once upon a time when Terminator 2 was released, right? Linda Hamilton over there looking like absolute machine. Guns for days,
but she was
right?
देखो उसमें भी ना, if you remember, one of the narratives that sprung from her arc was that इस बेचारी के साथ देखो कितना जुल्म है कि अब ये बन गई. It was never that. It was never the dimension that look, she took charge of her situation and transformed herself into this badass version of herself.
No, that I completely understand. There is this strange need. It's really interesting, but someone made this comment about कि for women it has to be some kind of a tragedy that leads you to becoming whatever. And there is definitely a conversation to be had about that. But what I was talking about specifically was that prior to any kind of sort of
precedent
wokeness being commodified, right, or capitalized, people were able to represent interesting kind of narratives about and interesting female characters who did not fit the mold as far as a certain kind of look was concerned. Like I think around the same time as Terminator 2, I'm not sure when Alien was released, but Ripley and the way that she used to look, like there was this whole kind of, and I think G.I. Jane also came out around the same time. And there was just this whole like push towards women who looked different in a way who looked strong, basically. Physically they looked strong. It wasn't that like, oh, she can like take down a spaceship, but she
लेकिन
doesn't really.
ये while we don't see that in pop cultural movies like the
Yeah,
Avengers,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the way physical female bodies are
Mm-hmm.
represented,
Represented, yeah.
I feel Karachi mein at least, or I would say Pakistan mein as well,
Mm-hmm.
there has been
A shift towards
a
this.
move towards um, the gym as far as women are
Yeah.
concerned. Abhi issue ye hai कि because they haven't been trained,
Mm-hmm.
as in, not that they haven't been trained, but that
Yeah.
there aren't enough trainers
Yeah.
who would know what to do with women.
Yeah. Because there's like a level of comfort and
Level of
I
comfort, yes,
see.
but also like they just haven't trained
Yeah.
enough women.
It's
And there's also I'm sorry, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
good.
there's the other issue is
Mm-hmm.
women right now, because of how closed off our society is, or the psyche or what have you,
Mm-hmm.
they're sometimes too awkward or too shy to ask what they want exactly.
I see.
I was having this conversation with a friend,
Yeah.
and she's like, I just want to be muscular. I'm like, that's fantastic that you want to be muscular. But she just couldn't bring herself to tell me that she wanted big legs,
I see.
and
Yeah.
and a
There is that for
particular
sure.
angle of the legs
Yeah.
that she wanted big. The thing is, bhai, dekho, this is your body.
Mhm.
पहली बात. दूसरी बात, gyms are or working out is a meritocracy.
Yeah.
I can make myself look good, lean or whatever in a photograph, but in person,
Mm-hmm.
I'm only gonna get what I put in,
Absolutely.
right? So if they're not sure
Mm.
about what, like if they're not gonna be absolutely uh, tacit
Yeah.
about what they want,
Mm-hmm.
तो फिर those exercises are not going to be done, and those body parts are not going to grow.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely think that there's a level of discomfort in particular because
They're shamed. They're shamed.
I don't know
You're
if
taught to
it's
hate your body, like as a woman.
well, there is that as well, but I do I think that the whole concept of like if you do not look a certain way you should hate yourself is definitely very
Sure.
very strong
Yeah.
as far as women are concerned within Pakistani society. I also think, however, that there's this huge disdain for women looking a certain kind of strong. See, I absolutely like being muscled should not be an indicator of how strong you are, because I've seen a lot of people who might not have a lot of muscle but they're very very strong.
Yeah.
But the argument that I'm trying to make is that there is a certain kind of aversion with a woman looking that way, and the argument that is presented is that she looks masculine. That's not, and hence from that what I deduce is that, okay, so then you're saying that if you're a woman you cannot look like that because
Yeah.
that's not feminine.
Yes.
Right now, that is basically what my concern is, that I don't know if let's say for example if a woman wants a specific part of her body to look a certain way
Mhm.
and she's not easily expressing it,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if she is ashamed of her body or whether it's just a certain level of discomfort because
But she's also
we do not
concerned.
openly talk about
Well,
that
yes,
in
yes.
in
Exactly. It's a concern of ostracization.
yeah yeah
ठीक है ना, that she will be ostracized.
yeah
गलत बात कर दी
yeah
आपने
yeah, yeah.
यार. अब मतलब मुझे
शर्म
बात
आनी
बता,
चाहिए,
शर्म
right?
आनी चाहिए and all that nonsense
Yeah.
ना. So I think like you,
Yeah.
I remember remarking like generally
Mm.
it more often than not it becomes a crime for you to be a woman.
Yeah.
In the middle class. Having
Mhm.
said that, and I have said this openly time and again, and you and I have had these conversations and arguments before, there is a cater of these, not these, of women who hijack that narrative, na?
Of like the fact that it's really difficult
It's
to
really
be female.
difficult, but like it's not difficult for you, like you
See,
and it's still difficult for them. I'm not saying difficulty is also subjective.
I think that the whole the point to be made there is that a lot of us need to check our privilege, and
Yes.
and unfortunately what ends up happening is that instead of having an honest conversation and saying that, I would like you to check your privilege, and I will also then in turn
reciprocate that. Yeah.
reciprocate that, it becomes a bipartisan sort of ad hominem kind of identity political conjunction of all of the above.
Yeah, अभी तक
Mess.
अंग्रेजी बोल रही है.
Mess. It's a different language. हम कहीं और चले गए.
Yeah.
नहीं, लेकिन it becomes about attacking the other person
Yes.
and shutting them up.
Yes.
Like, for
Instead
example,
of a critical
Yeah,
argument.
yeah. And like for example, I remember a friend of mine. I'm not gonna name who, but
Yeah.
I know for a fact that he is someone who took what is happening to women in Pakistani society very seriously, and that continues to be something that he's really
Started
passionate about.
the.
No,
Oh, we
no,
don't say that.
because if we say that, then everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, we know who you're talking about."
So what?
So no, like in the sense, like I don't want to kind of put him on the spot because this is something that he told me in private,
Okay,
right?
sure,
So
yeah.
I'm not. I'm very proud of everything that he's done,
And he's very
and he's
openly.
open about it. But the issue is that this incident, which I will now be retelling, it was one that was told to me in private. So I don't want to just name him like that.
Sure.
But what happened was that he was at a panel discussion and he was talking to me and he was like, I call myself a feminist, but something happened which really kind of shook me. And I was like, what happened? And he was like, I was at a panel and someone, the one of the panelists was a female and she was talking about mansplaining, right? And I asked her, he's like, and I genuinely just wanted to know. I asked her, I was like, what do you mean by mansplaining? And her response was, well, mansplaining means that when I'm talking, you let me finish. Like, you let me speak. Okay? And now my thing is, and he's like, and then the whole crowd was like, ooh, and like, because
She clearly won an award.
See, she was no, but my issue with that is, see, mansplaining. I don't know, and this is kind of my issue with words that go into the popular jargon. I love using them,
and then lose the meaning.
but sometimes
Yeah.
I don't know what they mean anymore. And when it is tied to something quite important, as is the case with this, then I get quite frustrated because I'm like, no, mansplaining actually means something.
And you can't trivialize it.
No,
like
you
that.
cannot.
Yeah.
It's not just
to
about
score a point.
Exactly. It's not just about I'm a woman, you're a man, you don't talk when I'm talking. No, it actually means something. It is very much about women's experiences being belittled by men because they cannot empathize because it's never happened to them.
From a position of power.
And it's very much about power relations. It's very much about, no, it didn't happen, it's all in your head.
And oppression.
Yeah. And
oppression,
we have had examples of this, right? Like I remember, I don't know if you guys know who Amara La Negra is. She is this Afro-Latina, fabulous.
Yes.
Beautiful. Again, I'm very proud of her heritage lady. But she was really credited with starting the conversation about Afro-Latinos in American society because, and this is where kind of the divisive politics becomes really problematic because a lot of people in America genuinely did not think that there was such a thing as intersectionality as far as someone being of a black heritage also being Latin, like that those two things could coexist because within the within their like sort of politics in the political arena, it's very much divided. Like the minority, like people of color, are divided along the lines of, oh, these are the the Latinos are here and the black people here, the brown South Asians are here, and it's not like the fact that those things could coexist. Imagine when we start talking about the Shidi community, people's minds will be like, what?
Yeah.
But she was talking about this, and I remember she was very well spoken lady, and she was on this radio show, and she was talking about how it's difficult because she is kind of ostracized by people because of the way that she looks, but also because they do not give, like, it's very the normal narratives around the black community do not include her because hers is a different cultural identity. And she was talking about this, and the host actually asked her, she's like, are you sure it's not all in your head? Right now, when you say things like, now I'm not sure if that would qualify as just mansplaining. I would say that that's much more. That's a lot.
Dismissiveness,
that's
ignorance.
A lot,
that's just plain old like.
But that's, to me, when people used to say mansplaining, that is what I associated it with. It's not about I'm talking, you be quiet. It's much more about you are either ignorant, willfully, or pretending that my experience does not exist because the complexity,
perpetuating oppression.
Yes, and it often, I felt that it often stemmed from that the complexity of my experience is uncomfortable for you, and hence you would rather push me into a box that you understand and you can control, as opposed to taking what I am saying into consideration and trying to understand that maybe you do not have answers to everything.
No.
Right? And so when we trivialize words such as mansplaining or concepts such as that, it does a lot of damage, and I don't think we even understand the depth of how much damage is done.
Yeah.
Because
all because we wanted some wawa, wanted some hoots and some claps.
I think that the whole, because I live for boss moments.
Absolutely.
ठीक है, for mic drops and
Yeah.
like let the thug life glasses fall.
Yes,
Like
yes,
I
yes.
live, right? But here's the thing, not at the expense of the greater sort of
Conversation
of the yeah
of the dialectic.
of the dialectic, not at the expense of that. That is more important than my 5 minutes of
Well,
let the thug life play. Like, right,
Well,
like,
Mahmood, problem is this, no? They say, Abhi, I think if I were to count, I think I finished 3 of your sentences.
yeah,
People would say that's mansplaining, right? People are extremely. जैसे Dawn Images का जो comment section है Instagram पे, that's what I live for. Sometimes when I'm bored, right?
yeah,
तो उसमें जो 2-3 चीजें मेरे साथ हुई वो यही हुई ना, and people who I know,
yeah,
they got up and they're like, oh, you mansplain a lot. I'm like,
yeah,
no, I explain a lot, and I
yeah,
happen to be a man.
yeah.
That doesn't make it mansplaining.
But my concern with that, with someone saying you're mansplaining, and I often, and this has happened to me so many times when I'm like, what do you mean by that? Right now, obviously, they can't tell me I'm mansplaining because I'm female.
Yeah.
But मुझे अक्सर हुआ, I'm like, no, but what is the issue? Because see, here's the thing. A lot of us do want to learn.
Yes.
We believe,
Yes.
in the words of the great Maya Angelou, that we do better when we know better.
Yes.
I genuinely
Sure.
believe that.
Yeah.
ठीक है? But if you cannot explain to me why what I did was wrong, then maybe the issue isn't here. Maybe you should look inward.
So, Bapu,
And
like one of the best arguments of this generation, of this cancel culture conversations
Yeah.
is, if you don't know what you did wrong, then the problem is with you.
yeah,
How is that motherfucker supposed to understand anything? You know what I mean? That guy's confused as fuck, right?
yes,
And he's like, okay, I definitely did something. This
Yeah.
person's clearly upset. And unfortunately, again, I'm generalizing.
Mhm.
I understand this is a universally quantified statement. I understand that.
Mhm.
But ज़्यादातर ख़वातीन ये इस्तेमाल करती हैं. At least, नहीं, please. मेरे experience में मेरे साथ यही हुआ है.
Yeah.
कि यार देखो, अगर आप समझे नहीं,
Mhm.
तो मसला आपके साथ है.
Yeah.
यार माजरत के साथ मैं तो कोशिश कर रहा हूँ ना
नहीं,
समझने की.
आप पता है, several eye rolls, but
Sure.
in particular, no, but in particular, you say that, and I feel like what happens is that perhaps this is also an experience that is shaped by your gender, because I have found a lot of men taking this exact reaction with me,
Okay.
particularly when I was studying at university. As like the number of times when I'm just like, no, explain to me why this is a problem, and their reaction was similar. It's just like, listen, it's not my job to, like, whatever. And I'm like, but
okay,
we're
yeah.
having a conversation. And I think that there is something to be said, that, like you said, in your experience, right? But in my experience, it's been the exact
It's
opposite.
the opposite, yeah.
What I will say is that, yet again, the problem is with the act more so than the actor.
Sure. Yes.
Because
yes.
I don't know if more women do it or more men do it.
But it's a problem to do it.
But I feel like we are smart enough, all of us, to know that we're doing it.
Yeah.
I think that we understand that, oh, okay, I'm gonna look like an absolute idiot because I don't actually have a reason. I just felt like being outraged today, and now that she's asking me this question, I don't actually have an answer for this. So let's just, let's just next best thing. Like, I'm so outraged I can't even explain to you what you did wrong, right? So I feel like, because one of our mutual friends and a very smart man said about something completely different, but I think it applies here, is that there is a semblance of discourse without the discourse. And I think we really need to stop ourselves from going further down that hole, because we're already there.
Yes.
Where it looks like we're having a conversation, but we're
saying
not.
Anything, yeah.
We're not. Yeah. We are yelling at each other.
Yes.
We're not listening to each other. We are not. It's not a discourse.
No.
It's an semblance. We're here.
Sure.
We've arrived.
Yes.
It's on.
Yes. And alhamdulillah, we have all this capability to get our voices out there.
The resources are there.
The resources are there. We speak better than ever before.
Yes.
We have command over several languages, and I don't mean myself, but generally, हमारी जो ये generation है, and it वही identity politics, and then the older generations looking down on सब चीज आ जाती है इसमें कि तुम सिंधी थोड़ी हो, तुम सिंधी हो. Sir, अब मैं यूँ make do with what you have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
everybody claiming monopoly over
an identity and all those
yeah.
things. Yeah. But generally, I would make this argument कि people are more able to get their message out there,
Yes, absolutely.
to express themselves. Having said that, unfortunately, we have lost the ability to express ourselves. So we can express ourselves, but we also, you know, we have the tools to express ourselves, but we don't really have a grip on what we want to express.
Yes.
ठीक है ना, जैसे outrage भी है, it's recreational outrage. Joe Rogan बोलता रहता है, it's recreational outrage, and it's palatable outrage.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, you can listen to me scream about how, I don't know, like,
वही वाली बात है ना, it's such a dicey subject, because whatever
I'll say it and
yeah,
it'll trigger someone.
yeah, whatever we trivialize here,
Yeah.
it could be the most important thing for someone.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, but I'll take that plunge. Australian fires.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant passed away, Allah miya naseeb kare, right? And people are so upset about that, and rightfully so.
Absolutely.
Right? This guy was a hero. He was an NBA basketball player, NBA champion, the closest thing to Michael Jordan, some would argue. ठीक है ना, वो सब चीजें हैं, लेकिन
someone said this कि the purpose of current media is not it's not to inform you, but to overwhelm you, so that
Current
you
media.
forget. And why I'm bringing this up is because the purpose of the media, when people call it the fourth estate, is so that people are informed, and so that the other estates, right, the executive, the legislative, the judicial, they can all be held into account.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They can all be taken to task. Should they step out of line, the media, that's where it comes in, and it's just like, what the hell are you doing, right? But currently, the way that the news is reported to us, and it's slow, it has been an insidious journey. We didn't get here overnight,
and we also didn't get here by mistake.
No, it's been insidious, but purposeful,
Yes,
and
yes.
So it is to bombard you with so much information that you're over there like, what just happened? Like one of the things, like for example, you mentioned the Australian forest fires. There are so many aspects to this story. The most important, I feel, is about how climate change is coming down on us. I mean, like, how long ago was the Amazonian rainforest
Not
the
that
headline,
long ago,
right? How long ago were we talking about landslides in Pakistan? Now, the intelligent sort of people within the media who have a platform would show you the link between them.
Yes.
Would explain to you that at the World Economic Forum, for the first time in 50 years, that's what I was reading, this climate change became a priority.
But
And the point that I'm trying to make is that instead of showing you a clear path and
they
giving
just
you
use it as
perspective,
buzzwords, no? Yeah.
instead of giving you perspective, and you know what, this is a global issue, because I mean, we, for those of you that don't know, we live in Pakistan and also in Canada, and prior to this we used to live in Malaysia for a little while as well. So alhamdulillah, we've had a very global experience, and we can speak to how different parts of the world interact with the media. This is definitely a global issue, but the way that it happens in Pakistan, the way that it happens, like with these talk show hosts and these anchors and stuff, I am astounded. You can go on for 45 minutes and not say a single thing, and just yell at each other and talk over each other, and by the end of the 45 minutes, like, you'll start with a topic that is of interest to me. Okay? What is the current government doing about, how did the current shortage in grains in the stock, how did we come here? I'm like, absolutely, yes. You know, because again, there's so many facets to this.
Sure,
a lack of planning. What about climate change? Is this going to lead to a bigger catastrophe? What are we going to do about it? What about the reserve stock? Like, what are we doing, right? So many. None of them will be discussed.
No.
Because you'll just have people from opposing parties yelling at each other. And at first I used to be like, यार, you इतनी दफा आप ये इसी किस्म का शराड जो है उसको आप दोहरा चुके हो, ठीक है, कि how many times do you need to bang your head against the same wall to understand that this isn't working? And then I was like, no, it is working.
The concern is this, disinformation is one thing.
Yeah.
This is ये जो है ना, जिस चीज की आप जिसको आप highlight कर रहे हो, this is your prime time television.
There you go. That's where the ratings are.
Exactly. Prime time पे वहाँ पे नॉर्थ अमेरिका में एक ज़माने में ये बोल्ड एंड द ब्यूटीफुल इस किस्म के शोज आते थे, ठीक है ना, sitcoms and all those things. Seinfeld. यहाँ पे आई एम सॉरी, आई एम जस्ट, ये छोटी कैमरा है ना, तो ये मतलब
Yeah.
इतना ये अभी अपने वैसे ही हैसियत से ज़्यादा रिकॉर्डिंग कर देती है। हाँ,
Huh.
कृपया, हाँ,
Alright.
आई होप इट डजंट,
Okay.
तो इट बी फाइन
Yeah,
इंशाल्लाह।
inshallah.
तो वो प्राइम टाइम टेलीविजन पे आप ये देखते हैं, एंड यू थिंक अबाउट इट दिस वे, हाँ, one of the most intelligent women I know is my mom,
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, and
Alhamdulillah.
you and I can't convince her for the life of us to not watch this stuff,
Nonsense. Yeah.
right? They'll just sit there and watch it, and they're so intrigued by, exactly, by what? By people screaming at each other. You know what I mean? Like, no discussion, no discourse. They don't realize वही वाली बात है, to pull it back to my good friend Marx.
Yes.
जाम शुरू में रहता था,
यही वाला
ये
Marx
आपको तो
right
पता
here.
था, हाँ। तो his thing was, one of his things was, yes, the ideological state apparatus that someone, another Marxist came up with, but chalo, I'll just attribute all of it to him.
Yeah.
uh,
Yes.
and the ideological state apparatus, and the false consciousness, but the false consciousness is essentially what you want to focus on, which is एक रूलिंग क्लास होती है, एक वर्किंग, बहुत सिंप्लीफाई कर रहा हूँ, एक रूलिंग क्लास होती है, एक वर्किंग क्लास होती है। रूलिंग क्लास इज सिंबलाइज, कैरेक्टराइज्ड बाय द ओनरशिप ऑफ द मीन्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन। Working class is symbolized by alienation from their own work, like they work but not for themselves, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But not for themselves, and ये आपकी वर्किंग क्लास और रूलिंग क्लास हो गई। अब क्या है कि वर्किंग क्लास often and by a substantial margin outnumbers the ruling class, or so Marx thinks, और ऐसा है अभी, इस हर मुल्क में है। एंड उसमें क्या है कि then false consciousness, because उनको लगता है कि हम नहीं, and they are more and they're strong and all those things, but then class consciousness आएगी, Marx would think, कि जब पता पड़ेगा कि उनको याद आएगी ये बात कि नहीं नहीं यार, हम, you know, we have
Workers of the world unite.
yeah, or not even of the world, of Pakistan, and I do
Yeah.
not even mean it in that sense कि the workers, the viewers, the viewers don't know that they don't have to stand for this shit.
Yeah.
Like that the media companies or the organizations will change the show if you
Absolutely.
ask them to.
Absolutely.
Like if all of you just in unison were like, yeah, you know, name a good talk show host. Mr. XYZ Joe, I don't want to get into trouble now. You know, this person, we don't like his show, they're immediately going to be changed.
Absolutely.
You know, they're going to be fixed. But we're not cognizant of our own agency.
Yeah.
हम देख के बैठ के देखते रहते हैं।
मैं इसमें सिर्फ एक चीज़, I don't know how much time we have left, but I would just like to
No,
say
okay,
this.
finish it out, it's fine.
The interesting thing that you just mentioned is that the people who are watching this happen to belong to an older generation than our own,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I'm not watching this.
No.
You're not watching this.
No.
I don't know anybody who is under the age of 35 that watches this nonsense. I don't know, and my thing is,
होंगे, लेकिन हमने, I don't know anybody
if you're
there.
kindly comment. Let us know.
Welcome to our meeting.
Welcome, hi, and to the world. Okay. No, that was the fun. No, but like, the generation after us is certainly not watching it.
No, they're not.
Right, and I feel like this might absolutely be a sort of an ideological state apparatus and brainwashing us. I'm sure that all applies, but I actually also think that it is pure and simple. In these capitalism happy times, they are grasping at straws. They are making it more and more spectacle based because they think that that's how you retain a viewership.
The clickbait and all
there
that.
you go.
Yeah.
Not realizing that we have created an internet for exactly that clickbait.
Yes.
And plus I don't have to pay for cable fees, and I don't have to go through all of your nonsense, and I don't have to watch your 15 sponsored advertisements and gawk at your like coffee cup, which has also been sponsored. None of this is sponsored, by the way.
But I wish it was.
I wish if you know.
Yeah.
Okay, but no, but the thing is, but what I'm saying is that I think that there is also a little bit of commerce as far as the ludicrousy of it all is concerned.
Sure.
Part of it I do think is also explained by just basic human nature. They're getting a bit greedy and they have to give people something that is spectacle based because the belief is that's where the money is.
Sure.
And I can't say hand to my heart that that's not where the money is. It's just that the media was not supposed to be just about the money.
Well, Mapu,
There was a point to this.
You know how you mentioned the fourth estate, which is the
Yeah.
media, and you mentioned the other three.
Yeah.
I said the media enjoys quite a bit of liberty
Oh, absolutely.
because of that position.
Yeah.
The understanding is
Yeah.
that this
Righteous indignation.
Yes, well, that to the media
Yeah.
people have themselves. Like it enjoys quite a bit of liberty and power in social strength and social muscle for this reason.
Yeah.
Because people understand that this is an important
It's an important
institution
aspect of
or what
society.
have you, aspect of society, and rightfully so, because in the past the media, even in Pakistan, it is a vibrant media and it has operated under some extreme circumstances, and it has done some very good things.
Yeah.
Having said that, I don't know
You
why
guys done slightly messed up.
it's degenerated into this. I don't know why.
And with just to bounce off of your point about the importance of the function that it performs, then should we not all be incredibly terrified of how dejected our generation certainly is, and the one after us is definitely going to be, when they look at the state of the media? There is very little trust. But because people, the thing about media organizations, when they cross a certain threshold of profit margins, is that they sort of see themselves as the masters of the universe.
Sure.
So you can't convince them that people don't trust you anymore. And the second they don't trust you anymore, you as the fourth estate have failed. And if that happens, let's not be surprised about why all of these media organizations are terrified of influencer culture. Right? Terrified, because that is the disruptive kind of
Sure, yeah.
the disruptive aspect as far as this industry is concerned. And I just think that
where you have people walking around with like 1 million followers.
There you go.
It's just a dude.
And people will listen. And the thing about it is that again and again it comes down to trust, right? I'm not saying that all the influencers are kind of spotless and any of that.
No, of course not.
But the fact that people will...
But there's still a people, no, Mapu. There's still
Yeah.
a person. No, this is my guy.
Yeah.
This is an organization.
Yeah.
I think I can trust or not. I think I can understand my guy more than
Absolutely.
I can understand an intricate organization. And
absolutely.
Name any of the big
Yeah.
organizations. They're huge.
Hence, it's also not surprising then that some of the more vibrant personalities as far as traditional media are concerned are hopping on that YouTube bandwagon.
They really are.
They really are. So it's a very interesting dismal state of affairs. Welcome to the darkest timeline.
No, come on. Come on.
Like,
it's not that bad.
Allah रहम करेगा. Absolutely. हम लोग बहुत दुआएं कर रहे हैं.
इंशाल्लाह.
हम दुआएं करते ही जा रहे हैं.
इंशाल्लाह.
आमीन. और सब ठीक हो जाएगा.
Yeah, inshallah. Yeah. So let's, I think
that's a note.
That's definitely a note. Please don't drop any of my mics.
I will not.
There's no mic. ये वाला mic गिरा दिया. खत्म करो इसको.
Like, let's burn this mother.
Please don't do any of that.
Okay.
And yeah, so that will wrap up the first one.
Yes.
And Instagram.
Oh yes. Social media links in the description.
Yes.
Please follow us.
Yes.
Subscribe to this channel.
Please do.
Turn on the notification button.
Absolutely, yes.
Twitter पे भी हैं हम.
Yes.
Instagram पे हैं.
Yes.
That's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
And we'll also shamelessly plug our own Instagrams into the...
Yes. Find me.
And me.
Ushah _Kazi.
It's already in the description. What's wrong with you?
Oh, mine's gonna be in the description too, chalo. Very nice. I appreciate that.
All right. I'm gonna sign off.
How long was that?
No, but that's 48 minutes.